The courtroom was so quiet you could hear the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, all eyes fixed on the judge as he raised his gavel. That's when it hit the Wuda sharp, echoing crack, and just like that, my life hung on the decision of 12 strangers. I'm Daniel Rigg, and at 66, with silver in my beard and pain in my bones from a war half a world away, I sat there in handcuffs, decorated Marine, teacher, widower on trial for crimes that never should have existed in the first place. Outside, the voices of protesters bounced off courthouse stone, shouting for justice, while inside, it felt like nobody cared what was real, just what would play best on the evening news. But here's what no one in that building knew. In exactly 12 minutes, a military helicopter would touch down out front, rotors chopping the morning air, and General Samuel Y., the same man I'd saved from certain death in Vietnam, would step out. He was the only person with enough power to change the ending of my story and maybe, just maybe, put the truth back in its rightful place. But until then, I was alone, just another black man waiting to see if the system had even a shred of decency left. Let me back up a sec. 3 weeks earlier, my world was quiet and predictable. Murphy's Diner, East Washington Street, Indianapolis. Every morning, same booth, same coffee black, no sugar. I'd earned a Purple Heart and Silver Star, but I kept those memories tucked under my jacket, beside my old Marine Corps cap and a battered copy of the Indianapolis Star. That day, the place was empty except for a handful of construction guys. Then, 3 teenagers swaggered in. Tyler Morrison, bleached hair, always smelling like he bathed in expensive cologne and trouble. Jake Sullivan and Brett Collins, both straight out of some rich kid catalog. "Look at this old black dude taking up space," Tyler sneered, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Probably been sitting here all night, nursing one coffee like they always do." I kept my eyes on the newspaper, but my gut twisted-eyed seeing faces like his before, in war and in peace, boys playing at being men because nobody had ever told them no. Jake, sliding in with the kind of confidence only money can buy, added, "My dad says they just hang out here because they got nowhere else to go." I folded my paper, took a steady breath, and said, "Gentlemen, I'm not looking for trouble. Maybe keep your voices down so folks can enjoy their breakfast." You'd think I'd thrown a grenade. Tyler flushed, eyes wild. Did this old man just tell us what to do? He stood, wanting a scene. Did this threatening old black guy just try to intimidate us? I sat, hands flat on the table, voice calm. "I simply asked you to lower your voices." But that wasn't enough for them. Brett whipped out his phone, filming. "This crazy veteran is threatening innocent people." Then Tyler, already dialing 911, put on a performance worthy of an Oscar. "Help! There's a dangerous black man at Murphy's Diner. He looks like he has weapons. Please hurry." You know that cold shiver you get when you sense something's gone terribly wrong? I'd felt it in the jungles of Vietnam, and now, right here in a diner I'd called home for years. For minutes later, police swarmed in, guns ready, eyes locked on me. "That's him," Tyler shouted. "He threatened to make us disappear." Not a soul in that place, except Maria Rodriguez, the waitress, tried to say otherwise. She pleaded with the officers, "Mr. Rigg just asked them to be quiet." But the badge always weighs more than the truth, and before I knew it, I was cuffed, my Purple Heart glinting in the harsh light as my cap hit the floor. The ride to jail was a blur, officers discussing me like I was invisible, speculating about unstable veterans. At intake, my wallet, house keys, and a worn picture of my late wife and daughter were taken. The local news that night plastered my mugshot beside the smiling faces of those boys, headlines screaming, "Veteran threatens teens at downtown diner." The narrative was set before I'd even met my lawyer. County jail is cold, hard, and unforgiving. As I lay on that thin mattress, staring up at the ceiling, I wondered if the America I'd bled for was ever real, or just another story we told ourselves. By the time I saw a judge, my story was a political football. My public defender, Jennifer Walsh, young, smart, exhausted, had 40 minutes to read my file. "They have 3 witnesses against you, Mr. Rigg," she said, already sounding defeated. "The DA is making this her campaign centerpiece." What I didn't know was that Rebecca Carlisle was running for mayor, and making an example of a black veteran accused of threatening white boys was just a thing to boost her tough-on-crime image. Jury selection? A joke. 10 white jurors, 1 Hispanic woman, 1 black man. No real questions about bias. The media loved it, spinning me as a dangerous veteran. My daughter Michelle drove down from Chicago, desperate to find a real lawyer, but justice cost money we didn't have. When trial began, it was all theater. The prosecution called so-called experts who'd never met me, saying veterans were ticking time bombs. The boys testified with rehearsed tears and wild stories about me, threatening them with my special training. Tyler looked the jury dead in the eye and lied, saying I'd told them I could make people disappear. The police officer doubled down, claiming I was aggressive and belligerent. The more outrageous their stories, the more the jury nodded. My lawyer brought in my old department head, Dr. Chun, who spoke of my decades teaching history, my patience with students. Maria Rodriguez took the stand, voice shaking, saying all I'd done was ask for peace and quiet. But the prosecution painted her as an illegal immigrant with every reason to lie. Other witnesses? Suddenly unavailable, intimidated, or scared. The judge blocked my military records as irrelevant, but let the prosecution harp on my dangerous training. My health declined, fast old war wounds flaring up, pain medicine barely helping. Even that was twisted against me. The jury saw my struggle and saw instability, not suffering. The verdict came fast, barely 2 hours, and they found me guilty on every count. The judge, face stony, sentenced me to 5 years, ignoring my service, my life, my innocence. The prosecutor called it a victory for community safety. The news ran with it. Guilty veteran convicted. Outside, the crowd cheered as I was led away in shackles. Prison strips you of everything but your memories and your will. I kept my head down, tutored young inmates, got letters from veterans around the country who'd heard my story and believed me. Michelle found a new lawyer, a former Marine named Harrison, who told her my trial was a travesty, witness intimidation, suppressed evidence, lies unchallenged. But appeals take time. Then, out of nowhere, hope landed in the form of General Samuel Wyatt. He called Michelle, saying I'd save his life in Vietnam, never forgotten it. He'd found old classified documents proving I was recommended for the Medal of Honor, only for the paperwork to vanish in a cloud of racism and bureaucracy. Your father is a hero, he told her. This conviction is a national disgrace. Wyatt arrived by helicopter, media in tow, evidence in hand. The courtroom filled with tension as he laid it all out. The truth of what happened in Vietnam. The lies that buried my heroism. The racism that kept me from recognition. Then came a confess Iona twist nobody saw coming. Under federal pressure, the 3 boys admitted they'd lied. We made it up, Tyler said on camera. He never threatened us. We thought nobody would believe an old black man over 3 white college kids. The story exploded media, veterans groups, the public outraged. The judge had no choice but to throw out my conviction. For the first time in a year and a half, I walked out the prison gates into a sea of supporters, Michelle in tears, Wyatt standing at attention, saluting me. The aftermath was sweeping. Prosecutors faced discipline, the boys went to jail for perjury, and my story ignited national reforms in how the justice system treats veterans and minorities. I received the Medal of Honor at the White House, with old war buddies at my side, tears in their eyes. The foundation I started for wrongfully convicted veterans made real change, helping others fight battles like mine. And one morning, I returned to Murphy's Diner. My old booth had a plaque now. Kids stopped to thank me. The world didn't suddenly become perfect, but truth, slow, stubborn, hard-won, finally prevailed. My suffering became the seed for change, my story a warning and a beacon all at once. So what do you think? Does Daniel Rigg's journey prove that truth always wins in the end? Or do we still need to fight harder to make justice real for everyone? Comment below right or wrong. Your voice matters. Share this story, keep the conversation alive, and remember, sometimes justice needs a push, and sometimes it needs a whole damn army.